unexpected twist emerged during fight week when it was revealed that former lightweight king Khabib Nurmagomedov had shared training sessions with Du Plessis in the lead-up to UFC 319. This detail came from PFL lightweight Godzi Rabadanov, who casually mentioned that Khabib worked with the South African champ in several drills. While it wasn't an official fight camp partnership, Rabadanov claimed that during those sessions, Khabib, despite giving up significant size and weight, was able to hold Du Plessis down for extended periods. According to him, the experience proved that Khabib's wrestling dominance transcends weight classes, and that if he ever decided to come out of retirement, he could even be a force at middleweight. Khabib has put on natural size since retiring in 2020, and he's been seen grappling with bigger names like Luke Rockhold and Corey Anderson in the gym, holding his own against men who outweigh him by 20-30 pounds. Now, with Du Plessis on that list, it's yet another reminder of why the Eagle is considered one of the most complete grapplers the sport has ever seen. With UFC 319 just days away, Dricus Du Plessis is setting his sights far beyond simply defending his middleweight title. He's talking about legacy. The South African champion has made it clear that if he defeats Khamzat Chimaev this Saturday, he believes he won't just be remembered as a champion. He'll be entering the same conversation as the greatest fighters in MMA history. This all started after former champion Chris Weidman suggested that a win over Chimaev could place Du Plessis third on the all-time middleweight GOAT list. But DDP isn't stopping there. He says this fight could have him knocking directly on the door of Anderson Silva's #1 spot. While he gave Weidman plenty of respect, calling himself a huge fan, Du Plessis also didn't shy away from questioning Silva's era. According to DDP, the level of competition back then was simply different, and in some cases, title challengers were athletes who weren't even full-time fighters. He pointed out how much the sport has evolved over the last decade, with fighters today being complete mixed martial artists from the ground up, rather than specialists in a single discipline. In his view, defending a belt repeatedly in today's UFC is a far more daunting challenge than it was in the late 2000s and early 2010s. That said, Du Plessis made sure to clarify, Silva remains a hero of his, and nothing can erase the Spider's iconic reign. But if he beats Chimaev, he believes his own name will belong in that same rarefied air. For DDP, this isn't just about staying champion, it's about planting his flag in the history books and proving he belongs in the same breath as Silva, Weidman, and other middleweight legends.
You have to look at it from, I think Chris Weidman is amazing. I'm a massive fan. But you have to look at, when you look at the amount of defenses and you look at a guy like Anderson Silva, for example, I think Anderson Silva is the GOAT because he's the guy. He's always been a hero of mine. But you have to look also in terms of era of title defenses, who these guys fought. Did they fight a guy with a part-time job? Did they fight full-time fighters? Was the sport ever as developed as it is right now? But I can't take away from any of those guys. I'm just saying in today's age of fighting, that amount of defenses is not always possible. Mm-hmm. And right now I still have a long way to go before I'm considered as the greatest of all time, and even the greatest middleweight of all time. But after this fight, I'm right up there. I'm getting very close to that.
Fight predictions are part of every big UFC event, but things got fiery when Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman shared their takes on Du Plessis versus Chimaev. Cejudo is backing DDP to retain the belt, citing his unorthodox style, cardio, and ability to adjust mid-fight. But Usman isn't buying it. He's riding hard for Chimaev, predicting a dominant performance. Usman argued that Du Plessis hasn't faced a true elite wrestler in years, pointing to Derek Brunson as the last real example. Even then, Usman noted that Brunson had early success before gassing out, and since that fight, Du Plessis has mostly faced strikers. In Usman's mind, Chimaev's relentless pressure and chain wrestling is on an entirely different level, and he's so confident that he's predicting a first-round finish for Boers. Cejudo fired back, reminding everyone that Chimaev has never gone 5 hard rounds in a championship fight, while Du Plessis has proven he can push a high pace late. The back and forth felt less like a casual prediction and more like a mini fight week face-off, adding even more anticipation to Saturday night.
If Khamzat Chimaev hasn't done his work with that cardio, then I see DDP definitely turning this one around. But for me, this is a very, very tough one. But I think Khamzat Chimaev might actually go out there and get it done.
Wow. Hold on.
Let me explain. It's almost like every so often we get a new generation of guys that come out and just become the superstars. And if Khamzat Chimaev is able to go out there and get it done, he becomes only the third undefeated champion.
I disagree with people counting out DDP. I disagree people counting out the King of Africa. Yes, Kamaru Dean. I said it. He's proven himself to go 5 rounds. What he was able to do to Sean Strickland. I do believe that DDP, even if it goes decision, is going to get the job done in the later rounds.
Is he good enough to defend the takedowns of Chimaev? Let's go further with it. Is he good enough to take Chimaev down? I've never seen Chimaev lose a stand-up fight. I want you to know how good Dricus is at a stand-up fight. Do you believe that Chimaev can tackle this man? Chimaev has gotten on top of everybody with no exception inside of 5 minutes. And you guys remember the Robert Whittaker fight? He came right across the ring, got him right down right away. Chimaev versus Dricus feels different. What a match. Dricus Du Plessis, world champion. It's not quite as obvious that he couldn't go with Alex Pierre. It's not quite as obvious as it felt. It's not quite as obvious that he can't go with Chimaev. Things feel very different right now.
Islam Makhachev is turning heads as he gears up for a potential move to welterweight. New footage has surfaced showing the former pound-for-pound king looking absolutely huge, and fans can't stop talking about it. One fan commented, "He looks way healthier at welterweight," while another praised his natural gifts, saying, "He's unbelievably talented to pack on that kind of muscle and still keep his elite level skills. Plus those legendary Dagestani genetics? It's over for the welterweight division." While one joked, "Brother, someone get me his diet plan." Others were more skeptical, with a cheeky comment reading, "Yep, he's on the secret juice." Another fan predicted, "He's going to be bigger than Jack on fight night." While there's still no official fight announcement, all signs point to Makhachev facing JDM at Madison Square Garden this November. And if this transformation is anything to go by, welterweights might be in serious trouble.
Even if he wins, they're gonna make that fight happen against Islam.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, if Jack Della Maddalena wins, then Jack is the new welterweight champion. And, you know, maybe he fights Islam. That makes a lot of sense. The problem with Islam fighting Bilal is that they train together. And I think, you know, they had kind of said
how
that
many
they would
guys
never...
we see fighting between each other that they used to train before?
Oh, I agree. I mean, I think they should fight.
Yeah, they should fight.
I definitely think they should fight. I think Khabib doesn't like that idea.
Yeah.
They have 500 fighters on in the roster, at least.
2 more matchups have been locked in for the upcoming event, and they're both finale showdowns from the Ultimate Fighter 33. In the welterweight bracket, Rodrigo Cezinando will square off with Daniel Danenko, while the flyweight finale will see Alibi Idris take on Joseph Morales. Over in Australia, there's been a shakeup for the UFC Perth card next month. As reported by Marcel Dorf, Daniel Santos will now face Ju Sang Yu, stepping in after the Korean Superboy Doo Ho Choi was forced to withdraw. Yu is riding high after a first-round finish at UFC 316, which boosted his undefeated professional record to 9-0.